Hey guys, it's Maria Eckersley here with another teaching tip. Today I'm going to focus all on how to teach a better lesson. First off, the most important part is to have a great plan in place. And that can be hard to do when you have a huge topic like charity, for example, to teach and you don't know how to break it down. So what I like to do, I'm a visual learner, I'm a graphic designer, and I like to see things look pretty on a page. So what I've created for you today is a printable that you can make that will essentially lay out a lesson plan for you. It gives you kind of all the key components that should be in every lesson and helps you sort of lay it out, and it's intended to be your rough draft. This is probably not what you'll carry into class per se, but it might be the way that you're able to whittle down all the information you find out there and start to edit out and figure out what you're going to do in your final lesson. So let me walk you through it. First off, at the top you'll find all the key information like the lesson title. I'll get a little closer. The lesson title, the date you're going to teach. You'll also find things like your main ideas. This is intended to be essentially like gospel topics you could study or search. So if your lesson is on King Benjamin, for example, you might have embedded in it charity, service, things like that. So that's where I write down those main ideas. So that way, as I go on LDS.org, I don't just search King Benjamin, I start searching charity, service, things like that to help me whittle down and get better ideas. You'll also find a spot for object lessons. Those are pretty critical. They don't have to be really involved, but they really do help people remember what you taught, especially if you're teaching the youth. So again, this is a spot for you to write down ideas for object lessons. So just find some online, look around, and as you find them, write them here, and then slowly whittle it down to the one you think will work best for your class. Below that, you'll see this whole big section that is essentially the information you're going to teach. It's all your supporting points that will reinforce this main message. So you'll see I've laid out 4 essentially, but you could add more or just teach 3. It's kind of whatever you think you have time for. But under each of these, you'll see there's a supporting point. So let's say my address or my message was about King Benjamin. I might have a supporting point be how service helps us. There might be another one that is, how service shows our love to Heavenly Father. Those are our supporting points. Under each of those supporting points, you have a few options, few areas to write down. So you have key scriptures about it. Again, write as many as you can and then slowly edit the ones you don't think you need. Quotes, obviously you won't be able to fit a whole quote here, but this is where I take notes on where I found a good quote or potential talks I might want to include. So those you would write there. This last one is something that I do on all my lessons. I call it my ATOT. In fact, if you see my lesson plans, you'll notice that word a lot. And all it means is apply the teaching to our time. I really think there isn't much purpose in teaching the gospel unless you can teach it in a way that they feel like they can apply to their life, especially if you're teaching teenagers. So ATOT for me means figure out a way to make this real to them. So maybe it's a personal story from your life about how service really made a big difference to you. Maybe it's a New Era article you read. Maybe it's a story from a prophet's life, something like that. So that's trying to apply that teaching, each key principle to their time. That's ATOT. Down below that, you'll see discussion questions. I really think the best lessons are taught where the instructor speaks less than the class as a whole. So this is where you want to write down question ideas that will start a conversation, not just a simple, 1, 2, 3 word answer. So that's a great place to write those down. Down below that, you'll see a spot for a game or an activity, multimedia stuff. So if you're going to include any of the LDS.org videos, that'd be a place you could jot those down. If you think you might do a game to like quiz the kids on what they've learned, that'd be a place to jot that down. Below that, you'll see testimony. There's an area for notes there. Obviously, the best testimonies in a lesson apply back to the lesson. So you might want to make a couple notes about what you want to testify about, and that's your spot for that. And then lastly, there's an area for a challenge or a handout. I don't do a lot of handouts, but I always try to leave my kids with some kind of challenge. Maybe it's that you want them to go do a personal progress goal on service, or maybe it's that you want them to read Mosiah 1 through 6 by next week. Whatever it is, that's where you jot down what your challenge is. You want some kind of call to action so that they feel inspired to do something different next week. So that's what this is for. And again, this one is for sale on the blog. It's only $2.95 for all the different colors, but you honestly could make your own and follow that same basic template. The idea here is that one, you as a teacher could use it yourself, or that you could hand it to the teens in your class. So if the teenagers in your class are assigned certain weeks, you could jot down the date and the title of the lesson and then hand them the template so that they can take that home and start filling it out. It gives them somewhere to start. It can be overwhelming and kind of scary to teach a class, especially of your peers, so this gives them a little comfort zone to start with, and it's something to work with their parents on, things like that. So you can either purchase mine cheap or you can make your own, but I hope that creating this lesson outline will help you improve your teaching and improve the teaching of the teens in your ward. All right, we'll be back next Monday for more tips. Thanks, guys.